Let's talk about the takeaways we have from this most recent weekend of spring games. It wasn't the same buffet that we've had the last couple of weekends, just in terms of sheer quantity, but even so, man, something to take away, I think, from a number of different spring games. I mentioned Nebraska. Let's start there, man. I think we know who their starting quarterback is. Like, we can have a conversation around Heinrich Haarberg and his, dual threat ability and what he brings to the table there and his experience, but, like, our eyes work just fine. We all saw what number 15 can do when he's playing quarterback. We all saw the different level of play that he brings to that team, man. Dylan Raiola is going to be your starting quarterback. And we had Sean Callahan from Husker Online on the roundtable, the On3 roundtable, yesterday, and I thought he put it perfectly. He said, I think we know where we're going. It's just a matter of how we get there. Dylan Raiola is going to be your starting quarterback. It's just a matter of, do you name him your starter during fall camp? Do you name him your starter once the portal closes up? Like, how does this work if you're Matt Rule, and how does this work if you're in Nebraska? For the record, I think Heinrich Haarberg still needs a role when it comes to what they do in 2024 offensively, whether it's specific running packages for him at quarterback, whether you work him in there in the H-back. Like, Heinrich Haarberg is going to be a part of your success, but Dylan Raiola is going to be your starting quarterback. You saw it on display in the spring game. He's dropping it in a bucket to Jalen Lloyd. He's throwing over the middle lasers. He's ad-libbing and throwing off different arm angles, different platforms, like everything that you would like your quarterback to be from a physical standpoint. Dylan Raiola has versions of that for you. Now, what he's going to be long-term at Nebraska, very different than what we saw in the spring game. In the spring game, he was 16 for 22, 239 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Worth noting, if you were just box score scouting, you see the interception, you say, freshman mistake. He threw a laser that hit his wide receiver in the hands, and it popped up in the air, became an interception. So the thing with me watching him play in that spring game, I didn't see a lot of, like, freshman moments from him. And there should have been, just so we're on the same page. There should have been okay, he should be a senior in high school. He's an early enrollee. He'll eventually get better and lose those kind of moments. You saw some spring moments. You saw some moments where it's like, okay, it is practice 15. This team is still gelling. But I didn't see the Dylan Raiola rolling right, throwing left across his body for a horrible decision to interception. I saw Dylan Raiola, for the most part, played really under control, throw it away when it wasn't there, tuck it when it wasn't there, took good care of the football outside of that fluky interception, and I saw him just deal it up, deal dimes downfield, man. That was a total game changer for what Nebraska was last year, what they're going to be in 2024. We got more thoughts on that a little bit later in the show, but he made a lot of his layups. That was something Nebraska didn't do consistently last year at quarterback. They had no quarterback throw more touchdowns than interceptions. Heinrich Haarberg had a 7-7 ratio, which was the best on the team out of all the quarterbacks that tried their hand. And they had a 52% completion percentage as a team, one of the worst in the country. If you make your layups as a quarterback at Nebraska, this offense is going to score more than 18 points a game and likely going to win more than 5 games. All right, so that's what they did last year. Expect them to improve upon that this upcoming season. How good can Nebraska be if Dylan Raiola plays the way he did in that spring game when they get to the fall and the games are really counting? Nonetheless, if you're a Nebraska fan, hard to not be encouraged. For Colorado, man, they had their spring game, their spring showcase of sorts. It was everything from put the ball down and move it, 11-on-11 scrimmage, to 7-on-7, little one-on-ones with the offensive and defensive line. My big takeaway from that spring game is their fastball out there in Boulder from last season is still going to be their fastball in 2024. And that is Shedeur Sanders is one of the best quarterbacks in the country, and they have wide receivers that are going to make plays for him. LeJontay Wester, transfer wide receiver from FAU, he got a touchdown. I thought he looked really impressive. Omarion Miller, you know what he's going to be in 2024. He flashed against USC last season, and they're excited about him and his tools. Jimmy Horn Jr., big play wide receiver for them a season ago. Travis Hunter, we know what he is. My thing with Colorado is if they're throwing for the same amount of yards they did last season, they're throwing for right around 300, what they averaged last year in that neighborhood. Can they patch the leaks in this speedboat? Can they patch the leaks? Because Colorado has some very real strengths. What I just mentioned, their ability to push the ball downfield and what they have at quarterback is their strength. That is their fastball. Are they able to supplement that with a solid defense? Are they able to stop the run effectively? Are they able to protect Shedeur Sanders with that scheme and how much they spread the field and how much they spread out the defense? Are they able to manufacture a run game? That's what I'm waiting to see, and that's what I'm excited about. But speaking of the fastball, it's the pass game, absolutely. It's also what they do when they get recruits on campus. And we saw that as a byproduct. They got Ryan Garcia there on the sideline, the boxer. They got Lil Wayne out there doing a concert. Like, it is a production when you step foot in Boulder. And we've been very adamant. We would love to see Coach Prime do some in-home visits. You know, that's what we would like to see. But the fact remains the same. You get to Boulder, you get a very good impression of what it would be like to play there, and you get wowed quite a bit. So I'm excited to see what they do. But the fastball of the way they do campus visits and the way they're going to throw the football, those two things are still intact. The spring game is a tremendous example of that. Nobody does atmosphere like Coach Prime. We'll leave it at that. Oregon, their spring game was this past Saturday. They have a hilarious quarterback room. There's no other way to say it. I still cannot believe that Dan Lanning got not one, but two of the top 5 quarterbacks in this past transfer portal cycle. He didn't get one the year before and then the other this upcoming season. He got both Dante Moore and Dylan Gabriel in that winter transfer portal window. Dylan Gabriel, I thought, looked solid. I think you see what he's going to be at Oregon as he gets more and more comfortable. He's going to be a good decision maker. He's going to be a quick decision maker. In that spring game, he was a good decision maker. He's still probably a click or two slow from what that offense is going to require of him. But again, practice 15, he's still getting his feet underneath him. He's still learning the language. He's going to be just fine when it comes time for the fall. Expect that offense to hum. He still threw 2 touchdowns, and I thought he looked like a starting quarterback for Oregon this upcoming season. That's what he's going to be. Dante Moore, as I mentioned, he was a 5-star from the industry in 2023, and he somehow found his way to being a backup at Oregon. I'll say this again. I think Oregon has 2 starting caliber quarterbacks in that room, and one is just down to sit a year. That's an incredible luxury if you're Dan Lanning. In this spring game, though, I thought you saw Dante Moore flash a little bit. You saw the arm talent. You saw him look sharp. Give him another year in that system. Give him the chance to sit, learn the playbook, be able to acclimate to Eugene, acclimate to the offense, acclimate to that locker room. And when it comes time for him to play games in 2025, it's going to be lights out. He's going to be lights out, and I don't expect Oregon offensively to miss a beat at all in 2024 or in 2025. I'm not saying Dylan Gabriel is going to be Bo Nix, but I think they have every opportunity to stay on track with what they did last year, moving into this upcoming season. And then with Dante Moore, the continuity with the talent at quarterback, they're going to be in good shape. They're dialed in out there. So some takeaways from this past weekend of spring games. Now we're kind of launching into that summer phase of college football. The portal's about to close. Spring games are wrapping up. I promise you, though, one thing, this show doesn't stop. Whether it's summer, winter, spring, fall, we're talking college football all the time, so make sure you're locked in there. But those are our takeaways from this past weekend of spring games. Hey, y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.